All right, guys, today we're going to talk about foreclosures and short sales, kind of like what they don't tell you and what you need to know to figure stuff out. So, welcome to Housing Bubble 2.0 News of the Week, or as I like to call it, another episode of As the Housing Market Turns or Housing Bubble Turns, whatever you want to call it these days. Crazy out there, lots going on. Today is not really a news day, it's more of a just educational, let's put things into perspective day. Randy Patrick here, putting the realism back in real estate. So I hope you guys can appreciate that. Now, also, if you're not already a subscriber, if you could be a nice person and help my channel grow and smash that subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. Thank you. So we're going to get into today very straightforward, what is, foreclosures and short sales and how they sort of get involved in the marketplace here. And the reason being because I talk about that. I've done a lot of videos about, foreclosure filings and foreclosure auctions and what's going on in the future with the housing crash and crisis, et cetera. So we need to get into some of the details right now. So really, what is a foreclosure? A foreclosure is a legal process in which a lender attempts to recover the balance of a loan from a borrower who has stopped making payments to the lender by forcing the sale of the asset used as collateral for the loan. Ultimately, the home, the physical property structure is the asset, is the collateral. You don't pay after a period of time. The lender is going to initiate, a foreclosure process. That process could be different depending on what state and jurisdiction you live in. But either way, ultimately in the end, the lender goes through the process of saying, hey, you owe us money. Pay up or cure this. If not, we're going to take it from you at the auction. That's what typically happens. That's what a foreclosure is. People who are in the foreclosure process and have not been foreclosed on are often referred to in a pre-foreclosure status. So pre-foreclosure is, hey, they filed against you. It's working through the system, whether it's the court system or another county system, whatever that may be. You've received a notice of default, etc. You've received something called notice of lis pendens, Lispendens, lis pendens. That's the Latin terminology for, I believe, notice of litigation or lawsuit. Lis pendens is not a lady who works at the county courthouse, by the way. So people have actually thought that that's who that was, Lis pendens, but it's kind of funny. But in the end, it's really, you're being notified that lender's coming to get your property and you've been forewarned. Ultimately, there's no auction date. They're going to take it from you then. It's either going to be taken back by the lender or it's going to be sold to a third-party bidder at the foreclosure auction. Now, people can prevent a foreclosure by doing what? They could engage in a short sale. So what is a short sale? A short sale is a sale of real estate in which the net proceeds from selling the property will fall short of the debts secured by liens against the property. In this case, if all lien holders agree to accept less than the amount owed on the debt, a sale of the property can be accomplished. So with a short sale, we always talk about third-party approval. That third-party approval is the lien holders. For example, you owe $250,000 on a home, but fair market value is $200,000. So the offer comes in at $190,000. So clearly the home can't be sold for what's owed on the mortgage, $250,000, because no one's going to pay that. However, the homeowner wishes to settle their debt with the lender and engage in a short sale. The offer comes in less than what's owed, and the lender basically has to determine through their process whether they're going to sell it to that buyer for less than what's owed. So they're going to give their third-party approval. If they're giving that, then an approval letter is created, and the home can be transacted like a normal real estate transaction, and the buyer buys the home. The homeowner essentially is settling their debt for less than what's owed due to the short sale process. So that's kind of the sort of nomenclature and kind of definitions. We tend to use foreclosures as a ubiquitous term. Like when I say foreclosures, I could mean foreclosure auctions, people in the foreclosure process, whatever. So just, sometimes it's bantered about that way. Probably not always the correct way to use it, but it's kind of used, in that kind of generic, kind of over-encompassing, situation with respect to what's going on with these properties. So just a note here, why I'm talking about this, I've got a lot of inquiries, and listen, I've had a huge number of inquiries, phone, text, emails that have come in since Thanksgiving week. I'm getting back to everybody, so if I haven't hit you up yet, Please be patient. I will. It's not because I didn't get your email or I've neglected you. I typically try to get back to everybody I can, just that sometimes things bury up. And listen, today I've been talking all morning. We're trying to get some deals done here. At the end of the year, a lot of times sellers want to sell and people are trying to do 1031 exchanges or this and that. So there's a lot going on these days. In the last, funny enough, a lot of investment opportunities are created the last month of the year. So if you are an investor or want to become an investor, give me a shout. If you're involved in a fund that needs properties, you want to start a fund, have a need for a 1031 exchange, if you're a foreign investor, just want to purchase a better price property, reach out to me for a consultation, discussion of what we can do to help you, and we'll see what we can facilitate. Anyway, here's the scoop here. So this is the process for most potential buyers. And I want to lay the groundwork out right now is that, this is what people tell me how they look for properties, and they may have some confusion. This is by no means a what we'll call it, any sort of, a negative, me being negative about this. I just realized that this is what people encounter, and maybe this would be a good video to explain the process or what's going on with what you see and why sometimes things aren't adding up as to what you see on the internet, okay? So this is what most potential buyers who maybe are looking online are coming across, and there's questions, okay, that associate with the process here. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our friend Zillow, okay? Everybody looks at Zillow. Why do you like Zillow? Because you can look up your property. You can look up what's for sale. You can look up foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and auctions. You can get your Zestimate, which is really, Zillow's algorithm doing what they think things are valued, whatever. So again, Zillow's kind of an all-encompassing site. For better or for worse, that's what the majority of people go to Zillow to look up property information. So just for fun, we're going to take Denver, okay, because Denver actually facilitates a lot of things that I'm going to talk about today. So if I go to Zillow and I type in Denver, Colorado, and I look at the foreclosures, I'm going to see what's called, the pre-foreclosures. So these are homes that are not they could possibly be in an auction state yet. We don't know, but these are people who haven't paid their mortgage and they're behind, and they're like a pay count, a record. So this is in Denver boundary here, city limits. And if you take a look at on the right, this is Denver foreclosures, 108 results. Okay, whatever that number is, I can't read; it's too small. And the first couple that come up there, those 108 equate to those red dots. So you can go on those red dots and it'll highlight what it is, click it, you can bring up the property. So the first few that you're going to see on the pictures here are going to be pre-foreclosures, people who are in the foreclosure process that are listed with the real estate agent as active and are looking for a short sale to help them with their situation. So you're going to find a few of those. And as you scroll through, this right-hand column of Zillow, you're going to get into some properties. So you're going to see the first few that are listed, and there's not that many that are listed. And then what we're going to do, let me sort of scoot back here. Oh, wait a second. There we go here. I never know what I'm doing. This is my prop stream account, and, we had 108, in the Denver area. 127 is what they're showing there. So, it's close enough that it sort of makes sense. They're kind of in line with the data. Depends on when Zillow and PropStream and other data sources are pulling data and I guess you could say filtering the data, etc. So it kind of, makes sense. We're in the same, volume that on Zillow. So it's reasonable. And if I scroll down through Zillow, I'm going to see other properties that are, in a pre-foreclosure status, but are not listed. So they're not really available at this point in time. We're going to discuss that very shortly here. So listen, we're going to take this one here for $465, all right? That looks like a nice property or an interesting one. So I'm going to click on that and just see what's going on with it. And look, here we go. It's, $465,000. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 1,600 square foot home in Denver, Colorado. Now, the 465 is just a number, okay? This is not for sale. This is someone's house. Someone lives in it. But it's got the flag that says it's a pre-foreclosure property. So, okay, interesting. Well, this looks kind of cool. Maybe I might want to engage that or think about buying that, or I'd like to inquire more about the information. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the next slide here, and you can, of course, see this on the bottom right going, okay, it's a non-judicial foreclosure type. That's the way the state of Colorado works. The notice of default. So the notice of default was the indication to the homeowner that, hey, the lender started the process to come after you for the loan. So that was actually recorded on the 3rd of March, 2020. Now, I'm because it hasn't gone to sale yet, or maybe it's not listed for an upcoming auction, it may fall under some of the foreclosure sale and eviction moratoria that's out there. So we don't know, but we'll have to do more investigation. But at least, the situation is that it's going to happen sometime in the future. Well, if you go through Zillow, as you know, you can look at the bottom right. You can see it's a single family home. It's got an attached garage, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, heating features, forced air, heating and cooling system. Other interior features are fireplace, 1,600 square feet. So you're going to do all the normal stuff you're going to do with Zillow anyway, and you're going to sort of scroll down and see, what's the deal with this house. Well, it's giving you their estimated market value, and so all their really Zillow algorithm does, it says, hey, this is what we think the home is worth today, 465. Now, this is, I want to be clear, this is no indication that it's for sale for 465 or that the lender will accept 465 for it. As a matter of fact, until we do more investigation, we don't know what's owed on the property and what the situation is here. But so people kind of go down this and say, well, I see all these pre-foreclosure homes, but why can't I get them? Well, because they're not on market, all right? So they're not listed with a real estate agent. The homeowner isn't selling it for sale by owner, or actually has changed Zillow to say, yeah, call me and contact me. So it's just really a piece of information. And that's what happens. A lot of people go, well, I see all these pre-foreclosures, but why can't I get them? Well, because here's the thing. The pre-foreclosures in Zillow typically are not listed with a real estate agent. So they are technically off market. They're still owned by the homeowner. Chances are they're still occupied by the homeowner. And they are not for sale at this point in time, because if they were for sale, they'd either be in the MLS or it'd be noted there on the Zillow that it's for sale, and either contact a real estate agent or contact the owner if they're putting their sale up, make me move type of Zillow sale process, whatever. So the Zillow price you see is an estimate based on their algorithm. There's no indication what the lender wants, all right, for the property. And that's the whole other ballgame. So typically, when we go through the foreclosure process, the lender has a final judgment amount that basically says, hey, you owe X number of dollars for the property, which includes loan balance, which includes missed payments, which could include attorney's fees, which could include interest and other lender fees that are on there. So the principal balance of what's owed is not necessarily the ultimate number of what's owed in the property. It's always a larger amount. So again, at this point in time, we have no indication via Zillow of what the lender wants. So it's a bit of a mystery, and you're really not going to be able to find out until you engage. Okay, so these pre-foreclosures in Zillow are what? They are future potential deals. So some of these could become listings in the future. Some of these could be deals that you could engage if you were to connect with the homeowner, but they're not up at the surface yet. So the homeowners haven't really raised their hand and said, hey, to a real estate agent, help me get rid of this property and settle the debt. They haven't gone to a real estate investor to say, hey, help me do a quick sale here, or how can you help me, engage where I don't have a foreclosure on my record and I'm getting something of the property, or at least we're, leaving this with as, little damage as possible. Well, that's they're not at the surface yet, so they're not asking for help. Well, and part of the reason is, number one, where we are today in this environment. We're in a COVID-19 potential lockdown environment, depending on what state you live in. People who are in their homes, they may be benefiting from any moratoria that's out there, so that's possible. But a lot of them have nowhere to go, because if they're not paying their mortgage, they could have other issues going on financially. They could have lost their job. They could just be biding their time, so that they could have no place to go, and they could have no funds to go anywhere as well too. Because if they leave their house or they do a transaction, then they now have to move. And guess what? Now they're ended up living someplace else and they're paying rent. That's money out of the pocket. So a lot of times people in these situations, they're waiting until the very end because they feel they don't have any options and there's nowhere to go, or there's no cash to go. And what happens in the end is that they end up losing their home to foreclosure, which is sad, because what we could do, and what you could do, is you could help them with a transaction. We could do the transaction. You could be the buyer on this, or we could be the buyer. An investor could be the buyer. Somebody could be the buyer. What that is doing is settling their debt, all right? Helping their credit without a foreclosure on it, giving them some relocation funds. By settling the debt, they're not going to be pursued by other judgments in the future, all right? That's part of the process of a short sale. You're waiving, lender typically waives deficiency, and these are all benefits that you don't get if you let your home go to foreclosure. So it's one of those things. Well, how do we help them? Well, we have to engage them because they're not at the surface, they're not available, and we give them the benefits and tell them the benefits and try to help them avoid the foreclosure sale, buy them more time on their property, and essentially what they're doing is, they're effectively doing a real estate transaction, which is what a short sale is. It's just a technique to deal with the liens and get approval so that it's sold for less than what's owed, and then they can kind of exit the property and engage in another phase of their life a lot easier without the financial burden, etc. Now, please mark my words here that on the majority of foreclosure situations, it typically is more effective for the homeowner to have a short sale as opposed to a foreclosure. A foreclosure, you may think, wipes out all the debt associated with the property, but it creates a judgment which allows the lender to come after you and harass you for years on end to get what's owed. And what's owed is the difference between what it sells for at the auction or an REO sale as opposed to what you've owed on it. Okay, so that's the situation here. So sometimes in certain locations across the country, these pre-foreclosures may have equity. So the opportunity there is to engage the homeowner as well and say, hey, listen, we can do a deal where I'm buying the home for X, which allows you to pay off what's owed on your mortgage, and you're walking away with some little cash in your pocket. Those are typically like a discount sale. But really, if short sales are done for over leveraged underwater homes, the discount quick sales are done with properties that have some equity. Now, realize that the longer they've not been paying their mortgage, they are eating up that equity every month with non-payment, interest, attorney fees, whatever that the lender is going to assess and put on the home. So just because you haven't paid your mortgage for a couple of years and you think you have all this equity, you may be mistaken when time comes and you ask for a payoff from your lender. That's how that type of works. All right. So how do we help them? We engage them and we try to get them and convince them to do a short sale. That's the better thing for them. All right. Now, this is if they don't engage in a short sale and it goes to a foreclosure auction, it's going to appear in what's called an auction calendar. So every county may have a different setup. This one, Denver's auction calendar, is supplied by the same software company that does a lot of the Florida ones. That's why I'm looking at it here so I can access that. And if you take a look, there's December. So we've already seen December 3rd, which was yesterday. So those auctions are over. And we've got, it looks like auctions are done on Thursdays in Denver, Colorado, or Denver County. And essentially, you can see that, on the 10th, the 17th, obviously nothing on Christmas Eve, and then the 31st is going to be foreclosure auction. So that's what's already scheduled. So auctions are happening, and the homes that are scheduled for auction are ones that probably do not fall under the guidelines set out by FHA moratorium or the CDC moratorium, etc. All right, so things are opening up for other properties that don't fall under those moratoriums, just so you're aware. All right, so if I go a little deeper here, we'll look at January. Yep, we're seeing stuff set for January. Seems to be there's a bunch going on there. Let's go a little bit deeper into this. All right, and this is public information. This is a website you can take a look at and check out. All right, just do some searching for it. This is those 4 Thursdays in January. So you can see that the red is what are available at this moment on the auction block. So the red are you got 27, 18, 8, and 7. Auctions going on those 4 Thursdays. The right-hand number, the blue, is the auctions that were previously scheduled. So you can see that on the 7th, there were 36 auctions that were scheduled, but only 27 are going to actually occur as of right now. That number could change. Now, what that means is that some of the auctions that were scheduled could be canceled due to, hey, homeowner secured the mortgage or fixed something up and they've canceled the auction. Maybe they've done a loan modification or something, so the auction's been canceled. Maybe they declared bankruptcy, auction's been canceled, or maybe this auction that was scheduled falls into one of the moratorium criteria and therefore it's been canceled. So the county or the city, whoever maintains this, will actually cancel the auction and there'll be a notation of that. So I'm looking at in January right now, 27, 18, 8, and 7 auctions that are scheduled right now. Now, as December rolls around, so as every day of December rolls around, something could happen with the process in Denver, Colorado, where auctions are being set for more for the 14th, more for the 21st, more for the 28th. So typically, up until the 7th, more auctions could appear there. So today's the 4th. So something today could appear for 30-day plus auction, setting in January 7th. So that's why I'm saying these numbers will most likely increase as the month of December rolls through. You see, so more things could be set for 30-day plus out auctions. But just to give you, so there's stuff happening in Denver right now, stuff happening in Florida here, there's stuff happening in other parts of the country. It's a matter of looking for this or knowing where to find that. All right, but just want to let you know, stuff is going on in these locations. Now, if I go a little deeper into this, well, I'm going to click on one of those days. Okay, I'm going to click on the 7th. Well, it's going to give me a list here. This is what's going on. This is a quick screenshot of 4 of the 27 properties that are actually going to auction. So you can pull up the case number, search all that. You see the parcel ID, which is typically going to relate back to the property appraiser information. And we know, look, there's the address. So 5507 Chandler Court, that's going to auction as of right now on the 7th of December. So how do you bid on that? Well, in this case, you would have to create an account with this auction site and follow some of the guidelines. You're going to have to put a deposit in, etc. And then you can be a third-party bidder to bid, on this property when it becomes available. How the bidding process works is you're going to bid in $100 increments typically. And then if you're the winning bid, you're going to be told that, and then they're going to take your deposit out of your bidder's account. And then typically, I don't know how it works in Denver, but I know in my location in Florida, typically if I'm the winning bidder for a foreclosure auction, by noon the next day, I have to show up with a cashier's check to pay to basically pay the balance of what I owe, plus any state, local doc stamps, whatever charges, fees, whatever they're going to add onto this. And that's typically what happens. Now, due to COVID, I don't know whether some courthouses may have amended that process, but you'd have to investigate your local courthouse. But typically, say in a non-COVID environment, you're showing up with a cashier's check for the balance. If you fail to show up, then you forfeited your rights to that auction, and they keep your deposit, and that home will be set up for a future auction again. And again, you've lost your deposit. Do that a couple of times, they don't let you become a bidder anymore, just so you know that. So this is what typically happens in the process. So just so you know, if I go a little farther here, that I guess you could say this is a list of the canceled. Again, that's 4 of a number of homes that are canceled. So for whatever reason, we don't know, the county canceled that foreclosure auction. So for various reasons, they may appear in the future, they may not. But again, those are off the docket. You can't bid on those. They won't be available on that day for the auction. All right. So most in foreclosure auctions, most people will lose their homes at the auction. So typically I see 50 to 75% of the auctions they're going to lose their home. Okay, the other 25% is going to be the cancellations for either the moratoria stuff or bankruptcy, or something wasn't filed correctly, or they've got a solution. Either home was sold, they refied, or something financially happened to take it off the auction block. All right, and that's if they can get it taken care of, why not? Right, that's the whole point. So most will lose their homes. A lot are more and more are being sold to third-party bidders. These are people who are buying either for themselves, corporations, real estate investment trusts, hedge funds, whatever. If they're not sold to a third-party bidder at the auction, they are taken back by the lender. So the bank or the lender takes them back, and they're now considered what's called REO, real estate owned. And that's what happens. They go back into the bank's, we'll call it portfolio. Now, this is where it gets kind of nebulous here. So some of these properties, most of these properties will most likely appear after a period of time on third-party auction sites. Okay, you may see them on the bank's website. You may see them on sites like Hubzu, Zome, Auction.com, whatever. And they have relationships with these third-party sites, because what they're doing is saying, hey, we'll now allow another. We've got the county mortgage foreclosure auction done. Well, now we're going to do an REO auction, and they're just trying to get what they can for the property. And most of these third-party sites are reserve auction bids. So you may think you've won the auction, and then you go and they contact you and say, hey, well, you want to give us 10 grand more for it? And you go, no. Well, it's like, well, you didn't hit our reserve. So we're not going to sell it to you, and we're going to re-auction. This will be back on their local auction, REO auction site block. Okay. Not many of these will end up in the MLS, because the lender can choose. I mean, they can put them on the MLS. They can put them both in the auction, the MLS. But, when you take a look at the real estate owned volume, we're talking about 0.5% of what's, of the MLS is REOs, 0.5% are active short sales. So we can see that a lot of the stuff is not just coming back on the marketplace. It's not available. It's not there. There's not a heck of a lot of it. And a lot of people are buying off these sites, and that's what's going on. So that's sort of the process of what you're going to encounter here. So how do you get involved in this? Well, number one, you can contact the homeowner before the auction, and try to engage in a short sale. And there's techniques and ways to do that. Or two, you can buy at the county auction, which typically is cash. And just so you know, just so I clarify this too. So we're buying at auction at a foreclosure, mortgage foreclosure, county city auction is typically a cash purchase. Okay, you can't buy it and then close in 60 days with financing. It doesn't work that way. It's an absolute cash auction right there. A short sale, if you're purchasing a short sale property, yes, it's a real estate transaction done with title and escrow and closing control. And yes, you can use financing to buy a short sale. That's no problem there. You can buy cash and or financing, not a big deal. You can do that. And then on these foreclosure, these third-party sites, I think they prefer cash, though some do allow a financing and a longer closing time if it makes sense. And again, some of these third-party sites are actually owned by the lenders or servicing companies, so there may be opportunities to say, hey, you buy it, we'll let you buy it and you use our financing, that will, there may be some opportunities there. But again, that's how it typically works, so you understand how that process kind of goes and whether you can participate or not. So, and again, I just sort of took, I just looked at, auction.com and did Denver, and right now we got 26 properties that auction.com shows in Denver as being available. So, starting December 9th, that's the next auction, et cetera. So this is Denver, Colorado. There may be more because that, and how that reflects to the auction calendar I showed you, well, that might be Denver County, and this is just Denver proper. But the point is, your auction.com is probably going to pick up the data feeds and stuff that's going to be on the foreclosure auction calendar at the mortgage foreclosure, like the Denver site I showed you. Probably will be a pretty close relationship to what you're going to see on this information. It might take a couple days to sync up or whatever, but realize they're going to be pretty close. But ultimately, you're going to that foreclosure calendar that I showed you previously. That's where the real data is. That's it's either on or off. And you're going to see it right there. Simple as that. So that's kind of I'll call it the sort of life process of what goes on with the foreclosure and short sale. And I guess what people don't tell you is that a lot of these things I just mentioned, like other words, well, you're looking on Zillow. Well, why can't I buy it from Zillow? Well, because the homeowner isn't open to selling the property because they haven't risen to the surface to make it available, so to speak. Okay, well, then it's just going to go to foreclosure. Well, why can't I buy it at the auction? Well, do you have cash? No, I don't. Well, I can't do it there. I can go to a third-party auction. Well, maybe can I buy cash? Yes, but maybe some financing. We got to find out whether it's offered as well. So this is kind of where things are at. Now, obviously, I have all the answers to all that, and I know how this kind of works out. But this causes people confusion, and it does make it kind of frustrating because you can see that there is availability and stuff will be happening. It will grow more and more as time goes on. Everyone talks about the foreclosure tsunami and whatever. Now the narrative, as we know, is to downplay that. And the moratoriums, I think it's going to be, it got extended again for another month. But the point is, things are squeaking out now, and as time goes on, things will open up. But just realize that more and more are stacking. Lenders are becoming nervous, and things are happening, and you need to sort of be aware of that if you want to participate to get better priced property. Now, how do I know they're better pricing? Well, I'm going to give you statistical analysis and other people's. It's not just, I'm spouting off information here that I've created in my own head here. Well, this came out the other day. This is Adam Data Solutions. I like to look at them because I think they're pretty reasonable with their information. And just so you know, Adam Data Solutions, they're the parent company of auction.com. They're also the parent company of realtytrack.com. So realize that they're kind of in the distressed housing business. There's relationships there. So this came out basically saying that, really cool, that the median price of foreclosed homes is roughly 36% less than the median for all sales in the third quarter of 2020. So that's the median. So of course, when we look at what's sold with Realtor.com and National Association of Realtors, they give us the median sales price, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at here. And what Adam is saying, that foreclosed homes are roughly 36% below the median. So if people say, what kind of a discount can I get from buying a foreclosure property, we'll say averaging 36%. Is it going to be different in different locations? It certainly will be. Maybe you'll have more in some locations, maybe less of a discount, but the point is there's going to be some discounts there. How much discount? Well, 36% is kind of across the board. They don't really tell you, what the regions are or the locations. I'm sure if you want to pony up and pay them for the reports, they'll do that for you. But what they're really saying is that the latest home sale numbers from Adam Data Solutions shows that the median price of foreclosed home in the United States, so-called REO properties taken over by lenders, stood at $180,000 $1,250 in the third quarter of 2020. This was 36% off the typical $281 price of all homes sold from July through September of this year. So listen, that's actually a substantial discount. That's better than paying retail. Now, the caveat to this is that, guess what? These homes may have some issues with them. They could need to be updated. They could have some problems, but that's just an average. So clearly the homes that maybe don't have as many problems might have a little less discount, and the homes that have more problems have more of a discount. It depends on your appetite, your location, and what you're looking at here. All right. And I guess they'll qualify this further by saying, this is the best REO discount since Q3 2017. So that's obviously interesting. So we see that the discount was actually reducing from 2017 to 2019, and we've kind of it's gone the other way now for whatever reason. We're seeing a little more discounts. Is that because there are more distress, like the properties aren't as good, or there's more damage, or they're not as nice inside, therefore people are bidding lower for them? Possibly. So there could be a mix there. But again, if we just want to take some just generic numbers so we have an idea of where things are at, 36% is okay as far as I'm concerned. All right, it's worth doing. Deepest discounts on REO properties are in the Midwest and the South. Around the country, the price and the discount of foreclosed homes depends on the region and economic segment of the housing market. Not surprisingly, the cheapest REO properties sit in areas of the United States that have the lowest priced homes in general, mostly the Midwest and the South. And they say the median price for a bank-owned home was less than $150K in half the states in the South and in all but one in the Midwest. With enough data to analyze in the third quarter this year, it exceeded $200K in half the states in the Northeast and everyone in the West. So really, if you're looking to buy cheaper property that's distressed, they're telling you that the Midwest and the South, clearly, obviously in the South, I think it's a lot cheaper, if you're looking to buy investment properties or just homes in general. So there you go. So that's interesting, and I want you to keep that in mind. So it boils down to and again, what they're not talking about, again, these guys are just talking about REO foreclosed homes, okay? And why is that so important? Well, they're not talking about short sales, because you see, short sales don't end up in this peg count, all right? Short sales are part of the pre-foreclosure peg count because they are facing a foreclosure process. But when the short sale has been, transacted, it's no longer it comes out of pre-foreclosure. It doesn't get foreclosed on, and it's not included in these peg counts for the foreclosed or REO sales. And I'm going to say that typically we're going to find similar price points with discounts on short sales. Because I know everybody asks me, they go, Randy, how much discount can I get? Well, part of the process is knowing how to handle the short sale process to leverage the lender for the best discounts. That is, I'll call somewhat of an art form, and we know what we're doing when it comes to that. The lenders go out and they have their own appraisers, known what's called broker price opinions, BPO agents, to validate what they think the value is, and it becomes a negotiation in the end. And clearly, the more distressed physically the home, the more you can leverage, rightly so, to get a discount for the property. And really, it's about value, and the value is essentially what the lender's willing to take for it and what you're willing to pay for it. Simple as that. That's what fair market value is. So whether it's distressed or not, it's all about the deal is the values. The agreement of the purchase price is the value of the property. Simple as that. All right. So again, I would say that short sales are coming in same, if not better. And listen, historically, there are times where our price point has been better than what the lender, if the lender forecloses, they get less for the property because what happens is it sits there and further decays and has issues. And we sometimes, numerous times where they've chosen not to take our offer and let it go to foreclosure, our offer has been financially better, which that's the frustrating point sometimes of how these lenders can work, but it's part of the roll in the dice. All right. Now, I probably shouldn't be showing this, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's only one slide. So the other day I was on a webinar, and the webinar was hosted by auction.com, and they had Adam Data Solutions on there, and Realty Track people, and also a gentleman from the St. Louis Fed. It was about what was happening in the foreclosure world and see what lawyers are doing about it and things like that. But ultimately, in the end, I watched the webinar, and what was so interesting is the fact that they had a slide here, and that's why I'm going to put this one slide up here, and it talks about volume. So they were looking at what's going to happen the next few years and where this market's going to go. So these guys are saying that they expect 1.5 to 2 million completed foreclosures in the next 5 years. All right. Some of the data they were using was based off of Black Knight's data with respect to delinquencies and forbearance numbers, etc. So they're doing their analysis. There's nothing wrong with their analysis. They're smart guys that work there for sure, and they're reasonable with things. And this is what they're looking at: 1.5 to 2 million completed foreclosures. So these are homes going to auction. All right, that's a completed foreclosure. What happens to them afterward is not our concern right now. This is just the volume of what's going to auction the next 5 years. So as you can see, the bottom right of the graph is where it's going to sort of pick up, and that's really what that is a monthly pay count of foreclosures. So all those many light blue lines equal up to 1.5 to 2 million in that range. Now, I always believe that when we look at these groups for data that they underestimate, because that's what they tend to do. So I believe we're going to see more than 2 million completed foreclosures the next 5 years. And this is just completed foreclosure. So these are people that aren't engaging in solutions to help them, like short sales. So this is what they're expecting. I would assume that in their analysis, they would have said, well, we're going to see a certain percentage have short sales of the pre-foreclosure value. So that doesn't get foreclosed on. But I just want to give you, like, this is kind of like, this basic kind of conservative estimates of what's going to happen next little while. So that's why I'm bullish on the fact that we're going to see some stuff happening in the new year. And as time goes on, there will be opportunities there. And it boils down to, what are you doing to participate in them to buy yourself cheaper property, either for primary residence or, investors, opportunity, whatever. But just again, so like I say, I'm not smoking crack. These are very smart people way smarter than me that have data at their fingertips. I'm just trying to dig through the internet, trying to get access to these little nuggets of information. They have the data that they can analyze and come out with this information, which is pretty powerful. So if they're saying this, I'm saying there's probably going to be a little bit more, because everyone's underestimating, because we still don't know the full impact of what's going to happen in the future. So this, I think, is a conservative estimate of what's going to happen the next little while. So again, I would be pleased that we're going to see some distressed property in the future. All right. So that's the scoop on that, guys. So anyway, obviously, as I talk about here, two housing narratives in play. K-shaped housing market. The bottom part of the K is just starting to grow right now. Changes are underway. It's happening right now. I see it. We can see it by what's being slighted, like even what's trickling into the future foreclosure auction calendars. That's obviously going to grow significantly as the months go on here. There are properties available right now. You just witnessed it. Why are you waiting? I'm seeing stuff right now. I got a whole bunch of off market that came across my desk. We're trying to put deals together today. Right after this video I recorded, I'm going to hop on the phone and try to work on some more deals. So this is what goes on a daily basis in the real estate world. So stuff is happening. If you want to inquire. I'll do the best I can to get back to you, probably more of the weekend. Realize that what I'm trying to say to everybody is that we have to compete with institutional buyers, other large investors for these properties. We have to get ahead of them. So knowing the data, knowing what's happening gives us the foresight, the crystal ball to beat these guys to the deals, so we can get ourselves some better priced property and do what we want to do with it, and get you your real estate goals and dreams. Simple as that. So again, it's all about beating these people to the deal. All right. As I mentioned, if you want to become an investor, if you are an investor, drop me a line. If you're involved in a fund or want to start a fund that wants properties, let me know. If you have a 1031 exchange need, you got to figure something out, let me know. If you're a foreign investor, want to engage in the U.S. and especially in Florida, let me know. Or just want to purchase a better priced property. I've talked to a lot of people this week, and I know what you're going through, and I commiserate with you. Hopefully we can help people and we can find out what's going on and realize that when I talk about distressed property, we're helping them as well too. It's much better to have a short sale, have the problems cleaned up, than a foreclosure and future financial issues hounding you down the road. So drop me a line. We'll have a quick discussion and see if we can figure something out together. How do you get a hold of me? Right there. Email me with your name, information, telephone number, and connect. If I don't hear back from you, if you don't hear back from me, ping me again, all right? Because obviously, when I see it at the top of the email list, then I can get to it. So please don't take any offense. I'm not getting back to you just because it's all volume based, all right? So anyway, guys, thanks very much for the views, likes, and comments. My next video, I'll be working this weekend on the next foreclosure tour of America. We'll be highlighting California. It's a lot to do. So that's my next big video. So look forward to that coming out shortly. And have a great weekend. Look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.